Andrew, thank you for your time.
Thanks very much, Mc Currie.
Let's talk about the millennials. You look like a millennial yourself, if I may
do
say so.
just fall in the age group still, which is good.
What have you found?
So I think the scary thing we found, I think the general trend within the South African market is that people are underinsured when it comes to life cover and disability. But the one thing that we find very scarily is that the millennial age group, so people between the kind of age of 24 and 34, are the most underinsured within the South African market.
Why?
So I think there are a couple of reasons for that. I think probably the most important driver is really the actual need. I think when you're very young, the thing that you don't necessarily realize is that your future income is a substantial amount, a substantial asset that you need to insure. So
right.
Kind of as a rule of thumb, for a 25-year-old earning 20,000 Rand a month, it's actually an 18 million Rand future salary that they would need to protect. So that's driving the big need for insurance.
Right, especially when they also get told that you're going to live as long as, in fact, double the length of your parents' life terms, if you like.
Exactly right. So I think when you look at the millennial group, it really is going to be the future workforce of globally, actually. So the real thing is their self-sufficiency in retirement and on life-changing event is critical. You need to be self-sufficient.
What's the picture when you break it down across demographics and when you also do gender?
So we found the demographics across gender and age have been, like I said, age is probably the biggest driver. We haven't really broken down that analysis by gender, for example, or other demographics. I think the main factor we really look for is the actual stage of life, because that seems to be the predominant driver of where the big need actually sits.
Right. So when you look at those numbers, you say you're concerned. Why are you concerned?
So I think, once again, the concern is that if something actually happens to you and you're not properly insured, the burden's going to sit somewhere else. So an example in life cover, if you pass away and you don't have enough money for it, it's either your family or friends who are going to be picking up, or effectively the state that ends up picking up the burden. So from our perspective, the big thing is if you're not self-sufficient when it comes to insurance, the buck is going to stop somewhere. And that's what you obviously don't want, especially as a millennial.
It could be stopping on with your children, right?
Exactly right. And I mean, I think that's the problem when we say why is the need so important. It's not just children. It's obviously also that kind of so-called sandwich generation. A lot of the millennials also taking care of their parents. So the need's big. The real reason why they need cover is very important.
So give them a reason why they should be looking to try and investing in their insurance right now.
So I think importantly is going to be there are a lot of solutions out there. I think that's the exciting part. Really, digital technologies meant that it's much more engaging.
Yeah.
So
cost effective.
Exactly, very cost effective. Exactly right. So I think it's when we're looking at the market as it sits today, it's moved much more towards millennials. From an insurance perspective, it's much more engaging. So if you look from the discovery perspective, it's why we utilize Vitality a lot. A very engaging program. And I think looking more and more, it is becoming more affordable because we've really digitized the process.
Right. And so you urging them to try to think creatively and also to try to think about the future. But do you see any kind of indications that there could be a change in the trend that you've picked up so far?
So I think, once again, the real kind of emphasis on that is really going to sit on actual insurance providers making meaningful products for that age group. Because I think if you don't do that, you're not going to see that growth. And I think that's exactly where we're moving. So on our side, like I said, we really bank on Vitality as that kind of enabler for it. So we've recently introduced a new product called the Smart Life Plan that's really trying to appeal to this age group. So it uses Vitality as a way for members to get weekly rewards and the ability to get 100% of their premiums back as a millennial for driving well and maintaining health and wellness. So I think the scary point that people don't realize is we do get a lot of deaths in the under 30 age group, but about 88% of them are controllable. So if you control your behavior, we effectively can give you life insurance for free. Yeah,
but I suppose it also becomes difficult in a difficult economy like we are in at the moment, where you are seeing the economy actually contracting and jobs being under pressure.
Exactly right. I mean, like half the reason why millennials don't take insurance is affordability, according to our study. And once again, that's why when you look at the products themselves, they must be affordable, and it must be an actual way for the young millennial effectively to reduce their costs, which is how we try to design our products.
Yeah, you have a difficult job, Andrew, because the millennials know, right?
Exactly right. And I think that's kind of the other thing, that why insurance isn't taken necessarily is because there is that invincibility complex. You think you don't need insurance. Once again, the stats kind of point otherwise. If you look at this year's graduates, about 145,000 graduates, by the time they're 35, about 4,000 of them would have had a life-changing event. So as much as you think you're invincible, the answer is everybody actually needs cover.
But before you go, I mean, what are the numbers? I mean, is it everybody, or there's a certain percentage that you should be worried about here?
So when you look at the group, like I said, so the current insurance gap as it sits according to our study is about 85%. So what that means is that of all the cover that the actual millennials need today, they're only currently covered for 15% of that need. So when you look at it, this is broad scale, but it's about a 9 trillion Rand insurance gap that we're seeing in the market.
And a big opportunity as well for you.
Exactly right.
Absolutely. Andrew, thank you. That's Andrew Mc Currie, Head of Market Insights at Discovery.